Hey YouTube, Josh Mon here. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite gins. Not a huge shock, this gin is also produced by St. Augustine Distillery. I have a lot of their stuff. I think the more you watch, the more you're going to see that. I promise you though, it's not a St. Augustine Distillery exclusive channel. Anyway, St. Augustine's gin is going to be a pot-distilled New World gin. It is 47% alcohol. It is going to be a New World style, which I understand generally means it's going to be a little less juniper forward, a little more forward on the whatever botanicals are local to wherever it's produced. Being a Floridian gin, we've got lots of citrus. It is a sugarcane-based spirit, I will say. Instead of being grain-based like a lot of gins, St. Augustine Distillery uses Floridian sugarcane. Gives it a tiny bit of a backing of sweetness, but also a tiny bit of that green grassiness from young rum. Anyway, the back of the bottle states, about our gin. Our New World gin captures the flavors and tastes of Florida. This award-winning gin is distilled from over a dozen botanicals, including 5 citrus elements. Enjoy its bright flavor and crisp finish in all of your favorite cocktails. Welcome to the spirit of Florida. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't even know if I knew that there were 5 kinds of citrus on this earth. I'm gonna hazard a guess that they're gonna use oranges, lemons, there might be limes in there. I've not actually heard anyone mention that, but it wouldn't shock me. I know there's a good portion of grapefruit. I imagine whatever the last citrus is probably just a different variation of orange, for instance. Anyway, we'll be using the Glencairn today, St. Augustine Glencairn, but I promise you I'm not sponsored by them. However, if they'd be interested in sponsoring my garage, that'd be lovely. Good sound, good cork. By the way, I'm going to try to reduce the weird slurping sounds that my phone seems to love picking up, but if you're here for the slurping sounds, I have a feeling you're still going to get what you're after. On the aroma, it's very citrus forward. Obviously, there's still some of that juniper, but I'm getting like a whole grapefruit, especially the pithy parts. The other botanicals that I was able to find proof of being in here are cassia, angelica, and cinnamon. I don't know if it's pronounced cassia or cassia. I know nothing about that. Regardless, on the palate, it is immediately sweet. Ooh, a little tickle today. Followed by the burn of the young sugarcane spirit. Ooh, pardon me. Do you like my soapstone mug? Huh. Anyway. It's very sweet and citrus forward. It's very easy drinking. It's a little bit leggy. I don't know if my camera is capable of picking it up, but it's got long legs and very aromatic. It feels almost like a completely different spirit from some of the more classic juniper forward grain-based alcohols. My wife especially likes to make Moscow Mule variations with this gin instead of a vodka. And honestly, that's where I have most experience with it. So, as I am in the habit of telling a World War I associated story, some sort of historical oddity that occurred, I guess I'll tell you about what I've been reading about lately. For me, one of the big charms of the First World War, charm feels a silly word to use here, but out of all the times and places to study, World War I has lured me in because the majority of the war seems to be populated by things and people being where it feels like they shouldn't, as well as animals. And it has come to my attention that after most of the horses got involved in the war effort, similarly to how most of the people got involved in the war effort by being told to do as such, folks in England still needed beasts of burden. I imagine for a while most of them made do with donkeys that weren't wanted by the war effort perhaps, or oxen before they ate them. But one in particular stands out. Speaking of standing out, I'm getting more of that spicy bark flavor. Obviously cinnamon, but I think I'm picking up a little bit of, I think there's coriander pods in here. I think that's what I'm getting. I'm gonna do something that I usually do for whiskeys. I've not done for this gin yet, so I might just be ruining it. But if you ruin something while filming it, it's for science. I'm gonna put a couple drops of water in here. Give it a good mixeroo. Well, my stirring definitely woke up a lot of the ethanol. Juniper's back. This gin is fascinating to me because the juniper is constantly gunning for a different place than the one that it's at. If you get the juniper at the front, it seems like it's always just slipping away from you. And when you're leaning into the citrus and the spices, it seems like the juniper comes around and sneaks around behind you and kind of punches you in the face. And it's very interesting. Well, the few drops of water didn't hurt it much. I feel like it brought out more florality, but I might also just be full of it. Regardless, the most interesting beast of burden that I've read about lately, out of all of the beasts of burden that I've read about recently, has to be Lizzie the elephant. And Lizzie was, I believe she was an Indian elephant. We don't know a lot about her past, but what we do know is that after the horses were taken by the war effort, there were, I think it was a scrap metal yard that was known to, I guess they bought Lizzie from the menagerie or the circus or wherever she was, and they used her to haul metal around England. They say that she's even, let me retry that. I've heard that they even made like leather boots for her while she's clomping around. I read that she could haul what normally took 3 horses to haul, though she scared all the other horses. Pretty interesting. I feel bad for the poor creature. I can't imagine she was treated terribly well in the menagerie. Can't imagine she was treated terribly well as a beast of burden for the iron yards. There are also some other camels that were known to have been used by the British, specifically in, I want to say Sheffield, where Lizzie was also utilized. And the thought is that they came from the same menagerie. I've heard tell of Germans utilizing some, I keep saying utilizing elephants. It's a strange topic anyway. In World War II. I don't know of any instances of this happening in the First World War. I know that the British also tinkered around with camel cavalry in the Middle Eastern theater, the Northern African theater, but this one's for you, Ghost of Lizzie the Elephant. I can't think of a finer, more tropical gin to toast her with.